Well, I hate to say it, but we ran into complications again. I need to move out of Sheffield. This place is starting to suck. I looked up the local ordinance, as you always should, before you set up backstops and targets and start shooting your air guns in your backyard. Always check with local ordinance. Here in Sheffield Village, well, no shooting firearms, no air guns, nothing you throw, nothing you launch, no arrows, blowguns, slingshots, no nothing. Besides the federal law of no shooting of migratory birds, which unfortunately includes robins and those blasted starlings. I'd like to commit genocide on them, with my rifles, but I can't. Migratory bird, federal law, no go. So we're stuck there. But when I called the cop shop, the local fuzz, to check on ordinances, and because I couldn't find it myself, they find the darndest places to hide stuff like that, and this was no exception. It started at ordinance 549.09 and goes on from there and gets into ifs, ands, buts, wherefores, and no ways, and whatever. So I'm talking to the sergeant, and he tells me there's a place around the country block from me on Colorado Avenue. You go up Abbey Road here, which is State Route 301, and it crosses 601, and on that intersection there's a Catholic church, St. Teresa's. You turn left there onto Colorado, which is 601. And somewhere up in there, there's a brand new indoor range being built. It's going to be called Gun Hub. It's almost done, but the sergeant didn't know when it was going to be completed. And he says, lacking that maybe he'd see what he could do to find me a place to sight in, which I need, since even mid-powered air rifles use scopes now, so you can get more accurate shot placement at greater range. Using a scope on an air gun seems, at this point to me, to be like finesse fishing is to bass fishing. So you can kind of look at it that way. Anyhow, Amazon, and a particular Amazon seller I'm not going to name, really screwed up with it, or it was a bait and switch, I'm not sure. I had ordered the Hatsan Striker 1000X, the X being the Woodstock version, the 1000S being the black plastic one we're all familiar with. So in 22 caliber, and it comes with Hatsan's Optima Series 3-9 by 32 millimeter scope, which is a hit. Those Optima scopes are hit and miss at best, but I digress. So after 10 solid days of this full seller shipping the gun all over half a creation, you wouldn't believe all the places this thing bounced in back in and out of Ohio a couple of times, which I don't know how they think they're saving money that way. It was like $4.99 shipping, by the way. So 10 days later, I finally get the sumbitch, and it's the Striker 1000S, the plastic one, and in 177 caliber. Completely, utterly wrong. So I get on the horn, call Amazon customer service. I'll try to remember to put that in the little description thing under the video frame there. And God help. So currently I've shipped the 1000S in 177 caliber back after numerous emails explaining what happened, and the site showed the picture of the 1000X, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And then the guy's got the nerve to send, the first message he sends to me, asked me if I would take a $40 refund and keep the item. I'm like, dude, there's nothing about this thing I'm on. It's completely wrong. Take it back. get mean when you mess with my green. So back and forth with that, and you should have it tomorrow. This is Sunday. And I told him upon receipt, I expect to have my money refunded to my PayPal account, which hopefully I can put back on the credit card I use through PayPal. You can use your bank account or credit cards. You have to list them all on your PayPal account so you can pick and choose before you order something. Because by the time you order it, the process is automated and you can't. I had to send back a Hatsan Carnivore QE357, known to the rest of the world as 9mm, because they picked the wrong credit card when it broke my bank account, and they wouldn't change it. I didn't know that you have to set that up beforehand in your account before you order something. Otherwise, I'd have had a big bore Carnivore for about $650-ish. That's an $800 gun or more. Some places are charging $1,000. It's unbelievable what they want for these things. The PCP hot sounds, you know. Anyhow, so I know when these guns leave the factory, the barrel bore is greased, and this stuff looks like when I clean it out, it looked like that black grease that's got graphite in it, kind of like valve lapping compound you get from crane cams and other places like that, and the little plastic canister thing. And some of you guys got your guns dieseling like crazy because you're not cleaning the bore before you shoot it the first time. Always, always, always. Even when I was young, they had something called cosmoline that the military used in their barrel bores when they crated up, you know, these big square crates of guns and everything. That's how my dad got the British Enfield I now have, 303 caliber, 1958. It's even got the crown stamp on the receiver, which is kind of cool. But it had cosmoline in the barrel, and they all do that. So you got to clean it out first. It'll be throwing flyaways and smoking and all that sort of thing. So I took I got this one. This is the Hatsan Striker 1000X22 I got from MidwayUSA.com. It was on sale. They had the 177 22, which this is, and the 25 caliber, all on sale for $95.99 plus $12.74 shipping. So that's $108.73 out the door. It's like 2 to 3 day shipping. What the hell was it? Friday, Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday night. It was right before midnight. I found MidwayUSA.com, and I'm looking through it and everything. I found these at the suggestion of one of the guys on gatewaytoairguns.org. Thanks for that. Great site too for air guns from all over the world and every level of shooter, from competition to planking. New ones to old ones, like I'm going to show you in a minute. And that's not even as old as some of them those guys got on there. Some of them got the original Crossmans from like 1923 and stuff like that. Wow. So I also rubbed this, when I first got this thing out of the box and put this Hammer's 3 to 9 by 32 AO scope on it, and they got these same lame clear lensed caps on there, and the plastic lens in there is wavy as hell. Useless. So the Hammer's 3 to 9 by 32 AO scope on there. Looks like a varmint scope. What is? Kind of a varmint gun, you know, as far as that's concerned. And it comes with this really nice 4-bolt, as you can see, it's a 4-bolt scope mounting rail. And each of the scope mounts have 4 bolts each. You get these, and I had the scope. There's 2 sets of holes in here for this little scope stop with 2 screws in it that sort of fits over the end of the receiver here, like about all the way up here, and there's another set of holes, 2 holes all the way up here. Why they'd be that far forward, I don't know. I don't care. I took the thing off, put it in a little bag, and set it aside. I'll show you another time. Anyway, and this rail here has a floating pin in it, but the screw holes for the scope stop hot sign uses is too small, so I couldn't use it. I just got these bolts really, really tight, and you can't really see real well, but right where these scope grooves down here, right where it sort of curves like that, I got it right up against the curve and tightened down like crazy. I gorilla them Allen bolts good and proper. So I went, cleaned the barrel all out, everything, and I'll show you a frame here. The first frame you're going to see is the patches where they started. They from first to last, where they came out filthy, and then clean oil, and then dry patch till they stop getting streaked patches. So I shot it out the patio door into the ground real quick, clipping weed stems, just to shoot the thing. And I used the RWS. I'll just show you. RWS Field Line Super Point Extra, 14.5 grains. The sort of cone-shaped head pointing thing. Thing was really loud and it kicked hard. I mean, this thing, it surprised me. This thing kicked about as hard as that old Italian Carcano pop head. Kicked like a mule and barked like a dinosaur. Like somebody kicked a brontosaur in the balls. Jeez. So I brought it in here. I'm talking to the guys on the GTA.com chat window thing. Ex-sniper named Jeff, cool guy. He told me to run another dry patch through it, and then take a digital picture of it and do what I gotta do to show it to them, and I did. And he said that pattern was detonation. And this next frame I'm going to show you is that patch with the streaky black patterns on it. And that's the real difference. Is there's dieseling, where you see the smoke come out of the barrel, and then there's detonation, where you don't see any smoke, but it's just louder and kicks hard. That can damage seals and gas valves and stuff like that. And just real quick here, when I rubbed all the fingerprints and stuff off the blued metal and all with some Remington Rem oil. I think I showed you guys before. It's this stuff right here. And I also rubbed down the stock with, I hand rubbed one coat of oil, let it sit a few seconds while I'm messing with other things. I then took a dry towel and wiped the excess oil off. And this checkering, when I first took the gun out of the box, looked like raw wood, like it had just been done with those funny little tools they use. Well, now, I don't know if you can tell, the wood looks a little darker, as does the checkering, and it's got a nice little sheen to it. This thing is like about 7.2 pounds with this 3-9x32 scope, and this is a mil-dot reticle too. Finally got a decent reticle. Let me set that down. And as you see from those two frames I put in, just how much filth comes out of those barrels. It just real. It hadn't been shot or nothing. It's just this real black, greasy stuff like bearing grease, or I don't know what the hell. And if I didn't get all that cleaned out, you see the number of patches I used to get all get it out of the bore, and then trying to get it out of the rifling. Oh, and by the way, people say these things don't have a suppressor on it. They have another name for this thing on the end of the barrel. Well, there's baffles in here, probably about the length of this, the base of this front sight here, because my Umarex flexible cleaning rod got stuck in there, and I had my wife hold this thing with the barrel cocked open and turn that thing around to where I could get it to poke all the way through and get the dirty patch off. So that's interesting there. It doesn't have a lot. It's just like a hollow chamber where this barrel shape on the end here is plastic. That's not the metal barrel sticking through, in other words. They're just a real short baffled chamber right there at the end. Now, I don't know if you guys remember the long skinny Weaver V22A 3-6 variable scope I put on that old Crossman 160, and it worked real fine for Ron Robinson, Mr. Robinson being the guy that sent me the last set of his mounts left that could be obtained in the entire world. That came out of his own personal stash, and I used those to mount the Optima scope. Take these off. To mount the Optima scope, you see here. So I now have a better scope on the Crossman Model 160 here. Again, this is Variant 1, 1955, 1956 model run. The first of its kind. All refinished, re-blued, new seals. Got to monkey with the piston a little bit, and then we can pressurize it. I found out the two CO2 programmed CO2 pilots that go in the end of this tube through in here. Pressurized that tube to 900 psi. And I used to have a separate, real skinny, heavy metal CO2 tank, and you could on it was variant 2 or variant 3 of this one. Had a little fitting here, so you could fill it up again. It was like the heavy metal paintball tank from hell. Looked like kind of like a miniature acetylene cylinder. It's about that big around, maybe that long. I saw it as a collector's item on some auction site or other. One of the guys put up the link for it. But anywho, there's the Optima 3-9x32 that comes with the hot sign on the Crossman 160. And these caps here are metal, just like the hammers. I'll show you in a minute. The hammer, this is what the knobs look like on the Hotson Optima series. It's got the markings on top here, but you got to stick a screwdriver in there. You know, like the Umarex flexible shaft cleaning kit's got that little handle you put on the flexible shafted cleaner, but you turn it the other way, and they have 4 little screwdriver bits that go in it to do all this. We'll use that on this. Nice short fat screwdriver so you don't scratch this thing. That's the last place you want screwdriver scratches, but yeah, you can see that. That's metal. So that's what the adjusters look like on this one. Now this scope is also a regular duplex reticle. Nothing to write home about. Plain old, same old. But it looks good, and it works better, and that's really the whole point. I gotta straighten that up a little bit. It's not quite vertical. Not to mention focus it a little better. And you see how close that rear sight is to the objective lens. I had to take my razor knife and notch that out like that to fit past this rear blade sight here. Actually, I had to remove it to monkey all the pieces in, because you have to take, each one of these is 2-piece, then you got the scope as the 3rd piece, then you got to monkey it all back and forth on the receiver here without scratching the hell out of it to get everything situated so you can tighten the screws down. Oh, and on these old ones, keep the bolt back like that, because down in here you got the cocking piston, the hammer piston, and the hammer piston spring, putting the two together. You don't want to keep that spring compressed, I found. Speed tip of the week. Try to get that past the front sight so you can at least cover the front objective lens a little bit. Something's better than none. Looks good though. The bigger scope even looks cooler on this one. It's like that old Sporter look from my day, or Sporter eyes. Sits back in when I was a kid, our fathers and grandfathers were able to bring back guns as spoils from war, from the battlefields all over the world, and that was cool. That was acceptable, because the majority of the time they were semi-automatic, if that, and we were the ones with the top of the line semi-automatics. The rest of the world would have bolt actions and such as that, and even the Japanese machine guns suck donkey ass. Watch the videos by Gunnery Sergeant Ermey and the guy from Full Metal Jacket, Arlie Ermey. He shows all them some of those old machine guns and automatic weapons and stuff from them days. So our M1 carbine was ahead of the game, so to say. Remember Pop using those in the Philippines as a CB. So then we have, from lightest to heaviest, I've got 3 different pellets in 22 caliber. I'm going to test in both of these. Of course, you guys all know the Gamma rockets. That's 14.36 or 0.39 grains. That's middle of the road. Then the lightest one of the two more top shelf brands, as they seem to me, H&N Sport Barracuda Green denoting that they're alloy rather than lead, so they're green friendly, world worth, whatever. It's a pointed dome shape, and it's 12.65 grain. They said they made a typo in their ads and stuff where they said it was 12.35. It's 12.65 supposedly. Matter of fact, that's what it says right there. I don't know if y'all can see that. And last but certainly not least, of the 2 brands of German pellets, the ones I shot 2 of these out of already. RWS Field Line Super Point Extra at the heaviest is at 14.5 grain. Well, be that as it may, can't shoot in Sheffield around here. Even if it's in my basement, if they can look through the basement window and see it, or it's hot and the basement window's open and they hear it, you're dead. They can come in here and they come in here and take all my guns, throw my ass in the county slammer, find me a bunch of money and all of that, and who needs that, especially a retiree. And when you've spent a lifetime collecting up some really cool shit, and you don't want them cops cherry picking before they give what they don't want away up to the judge and stuff. But we'll find out when this gun hub indoor range place opens up. Okay, I just thought I'd try to hold the camera up to the scope here and see if we can give you a view of this mil-dot scope on this Hammers scope I put on the striker. Well, I guess that's about as good as that's going to get. I don't know how they have those little frame like rails that they put on the back of a scope mount to hold the camera up and make it see real good. I don't know enough about that to make a call. So, Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. We'll see you next time.